to India for a wedding tomorrow. And as you're probably aware, Indian weddings are multi-day affairs, several different events. And so I needed 5 different outfits and I thrifted all of them. I'm normally an absolutely last minute packer, but when you have 5 different events over 3 days in a different country, in a culture that's not your own, so you just can't pull things from your wardrobe, you've got to spend a lot of time planning and researching. So I have been thinking about this for months. So whether you are going to a South Asian wedding yourself and you want a bit of inspo, or you just like to see someone thrifting and pulling together thrifted pieces, this video is for you. By the way, I'm Georgia and I'm okay with my hands. I'm all about living a creative and stylish life without screwing my bank account or the planet. So there's lots of DIY, thrifting, upcycling, bit of personal finance and lifestyle, just whatever I feel like really, including showing you what I'm wearing to an Indian wedding. And my general philosophy about bringing things into my life is I want to be a conscious consumer. I don't want to buy things I'm only going to use once. So I really was trying to prioritize both environmentally and financially getting things secondhand for this event. Because let me tell you, when I started researching, beautiful Indian outfits are not cheap, especially when you need to get 5 of them. So in this video, I'm going to go through how I figured out what I needed, what was appropriate to wear to each event and inspo for it, where I looked for and sourced secondhand pieces as someone who didn't want to spend thousands of dollars for pieces that I'll only wear once. And lastly, we're going to get into what I bought and how I styled it. I'm going to show you each of the pieces and how I found them and what I paid for them for each event. And then I'm going to insert clips from India of me wearing them and like how I styled it for the actual events. So as you might have guessed, I'm not Indian. So I had to do a fair bit of research to figure out what was appropriate for each of the different ceremonies and events. My boyfriend is half Indian. His dad's Punjabi, so their religion is Sikh. And I have been to a family wedding of theirs before, but the wedding we're going to in India is Hindu. I know the groom more than I know the bride, who is the Indian partner. So when I've gone to like Jai's family weddings, there are cousins that I can ask, oh, is this appropriate? Or can I borrow something? Whereas with this, I didn't quite have that like level of comfortability to be able to just say, hey babe, is this the right thing to wear? And I obviously want to be really culturally considerate and appropriate and like fit the dress code. So I had to do a fair bit of research. I will also say my impression is that Sikhs, or at least British Indian Sikhs particularly, which Jai's family are a bit more, I don't know if Hindus are more conservative, but I do know that Sikhs are like the big drinkers. So I'm not sure what to expect as far as like the level of conservatism. I'm just very conscious about wanting to be appropriate and I didn't want to half-ass the dressing. And what this led to is me really seeing the power of ChatGPT. So basically what I did was I had the wedding invite with the names of the different events, and the bride and groom did try to give a bit of an explainer, but I'd put them in and say, tell me about this event and what is appropriate to be wearing. And I will explain each of those events as I show you the pieces I thrifted. And then once I got a better sense of the dress code, I would go into Pinterest, type in some different references. But this was really amazing for helping me imagine desi outfits that had silhouettes that I liked, that weren't just plain saris, and really opened my eyes to the full breadth of South Asian fashion that got me even more excited to play around with the styling. Which brings me to where I actually looked for garments. So as I said, I really wanted to get most, if not everything, secondhand. And I did have the luxury of time with this. I think I've probably been looking for the better part of 9 months. The wedding is now in October and I think we got the invite in January. So I started by learning some of the kind of classic different garment types in the Indian wardrobe and would use these as search terms. So I'll put some of those up on screen. Some of the like helpful 101 garment types were sari, dupatta, salwar kameez, lehenga choli, and anarkali. And then some of the other search terms that I would often use on Marketplace and Depop were Indian wedding, chiffon dress, midi dress, yellow midi, silk dress, mirror work. And that's because for a few of these things, I used Western clothes and traditional Indian clothes because they were Western clothes that like worked as Indian clothes. Like you can wear a narrow bodice, long maxi dress, which is essentially an anarkali, put a nice dupatta scarf with it, and that looks like an Indian outfit. So there's ways that you could potentially use what you already have in your wardrobe. I got a lot of inspiration for this from a YouTube video from an Indian creator, which I will link in the description and put some photos up of. And I'd actually gotten that idea to even research it because last year I went to my friend's wedding, he's Indian, and the dress code was you could wear traditional or Western clothing. So I wore essentially that, long dress that I have with an Indian scarf, and he was like, oh, I love your Indian outfit. Like, he thought it was from Chic, like an Australian brand. So that did give me the idea to play around a bit rather than just thinking, oh, I need to go onto an Indian website, pick one, order it, and that's it. I realized, oh, I could pull together different pieces, have a bit of fun with this, maybe save some money. So as I said, Depop Facebook Marketplace, those are great, especially if you've got a bit of time because you can keep an eye on it. I also actually got quite a bit in the physical thrift in the op shop. That takes even more time. I mean, I op shop quite a bit. So I basically, for the past 9 months, just always had a lens as well to be looking for sequins, looking for beads, looking for scarves, just in case there was something that was a kurta or could be worn as a kurta. Like when I mentioned yellow mini as a search reference, that's because one of the events you have to wear yellow. I was really struggling to find a yellow Indian outfit. So I was like, maybe I can find a mini dress that I could find pants with and wear as a kurta suit, like a salwar suit. Then there's hiring. I think I originally found it through my Facebook Marketplace searches, and there's a few accounts on Instagram that are Indian clothing hire sites. There were probably about 80 to 120 to hire. Some beautiful pieces. I did go to one fitting from a woman in Western Sydney, but all her pieces were like size 8 to 10. I think she was just starting out. But it is worth checking those out and seeing if there's one that would suit you. And then lastly, a website called Kifayat. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. It operates in Australia, UK, US, Canada, maybe other places as well. It's like Depop specifically for Desi clothing. I don't think I ended up ordering anything off there, but I did find quite a few good options. And once I had a bit of an idea of what I was going to wear, if I wasn't sure, I'd ask one of my Desi friends, but I didn't want to take up too much of their time to like explain every single part of every single ceremony and what I should be wearing. So obviously if there's someone you can ask for advice, that's a huge win too. All right. Let's get into the clothes. So the first event is called the Mehendi or Mendi. I think it's just Mendi, but it's spelled Mehendi. And ChatGPT said, the bride gets intricate henna applied to her hands and feet, and it's a party atmosphere with singing, dancing, and bright decor. Outfit energy is vibrant colors, flowy fabrics, fun accessories. Think celebratory, but still daytime friendly. So the first thing that I thrifted for this was I was out with grandma and I was looking for any sort of dresses that had a matching scarf that I could potentially reappropriate into being something that would work. And I found, this was in a vlog, so you might have seen it, this Anthea Crawford dress with this scarf. So I picked that dress up and this scarf thinking I'd get some blue pants to go with it, but that dress was a little bit tight around the hips and it's not super glitzy. It does have these little beads at the end of the scarf, which is what drew me to it. I just think that is such a beautiful detail. And there's a nice shimmer in the scarf. It's beautiful, but it's not like as glitzy as I think it could be for an Indian wedding, which you can do a lot with accessories. But then I was in the op shop and I found this. I think this is an actual Indian garment. It was just this. It didn't come with the pants or the scarf or anything. And it was too small, but I thought, oh, I'm going to grab it because a lot of Indian clothes will come with a huge seam allowance because the idea is that you can tailor them to fit you. You could make the same piece fit an 8 to a 14 probably. So I picked it up and was like, I'll go and get that tailored. I ended up just doing it myself last week. I let the width out a bit and I replaced the straps so that they were a bit longer because I have found with quite a few of the garments that I bought, it's quite high under the armpits and the other ones have just stayed that way. But this one, I was like, it's pretty easy to change the straps out. So there's that. And in the same little op shopping trip, I found these pants. These are just like corporate work pants from a brand called Lorraine. So I thought that was a really good little combo and really referenced some of the Pinterest photos that I liked where they were like wide pants, a long top and a beautiful scarf. So that is for the Mehendi, which is probably the most casual of all the events, but still meant to be nice. And then I've got a bag of Indian jewelry that I will mix and match across the outfits. And also one of my friends is already in India and has picked me up one other set that's just gold and pearls because I thought that would be more flexible. The main set that I have is a bright green matching necklace, earrings, and I'm not sure what you call the one, it's like a jewelry that sits here, and some bindis. And this was from Jai's cousin's wedding. We were in the wedding party. So his family had given me some jewelry to wear and it actually goes really well with some of these outfits. And then I've also just picked up some bangles and earrings whenever I've seen Indian style ones at the op shop. So the total cost for outfit was the top was $25, the pants were $10.50, and the scarf with the dress was $45, but I'm going to resell them for probably the same price. So I'll call the scarf $10. Oh, and I picked up this little purse to go with it yesterday. That was $4. Now let's see how I style it on the day. Event number 2 is the Haldi. So this is a turmeric ceremony, you may have heard it called. ChatGPT said, family and friends apply turmeric paste, which is what Haldi is, to the couple as a blessing. It's messy, playful, and symbolic of purification and good luck. Outfit energy. Light, comfortable in yellow tones. Nothing too precious because turmeric stains. So this is the outfit that was most challenging for me because I am a winter and yellow is not the vibe. Most of the secondhand Haldi outfits I could find were like mustardy yellow, very warm yellows. I prefer pale, kind of icier colours when it comes to yellow. So it took me a while and I did nearly buy something new. And this one was a journey. So after a couple of months of looking, I finally found something on Facebook Marketplace that was pale yellow, my size, and I actually liked it, and it was $25. And she was in Sydney and could post it. So I was messaging her. I messaged her about some of her other listings because she had a few other Indian outfits. No reply. And I was like, damn it. Got to a couple of weeks ago, about a month before the wedding, and there was an item on Depop that was a pink blouse and a yellow skirt. And so I was like, okay, that could work because pink will be near my face, even though it's a bright yellow that I don't like, and I'll just buy a yellow scarf to go with it. So I ordered that on Depop. Guess who replies the next day? So I was like, whatever, it's $25. I think I ended up paying her $40 with postage. It was lucky that I got it because the woman who sent me the Depop item, she listed it as a size 12, but it's got to have been like a 12 children's. I took some photos of it to get the PayPal refund, which she's still disputing me about, but I've sent it back to her now. So anyway, yeah, thankfully, otherwise I would have been stuck. But what I got was this beautiful kurta. It's a nice kind of pale buttery, lemony, probably more of a lemon. And it came with a matching scarf and pants, but I'd already ordered this scarf to go with when I thought I was going to need the pink and yellow. I think this was about $25 for the scarf. I think it ends up looking a bit jazzier anyway because it came with these kind of tight yellow pants, but it just kind of fit kind of funny, and I think it's like extremely synthetic, so in the hot weather, I just was like, if I can find something else, I will. And what do you know? 2 days ago, I was in the op shop and I found these yellow pants. So it all kind of worked out perfectly. I think they were actually handmade because I can't see a tag or anything and they look like someone handmade them, but they will do me just fine, and they were $8. So in total for this outfit, we had $40 for this, including the shipping, $8 for this, and then the dupatta I think was $25. So let me show you how I styled it. Okay, I can hear the drumming at the hotel next door, which means it's starting. I gotta go. Okay, day 2 evening is the Sangeet. ChatGPT tells me the event is dance performances, music, and party vibes, a big lively celebration before the wedding. Dress code is glamorous and festive, lehengas, Indo-Western gowns, or sherwanis with sparkle, jewel tones, or pastels with extreme shimmer and metallics. I think I also read that it was like, if you're gonna go all out one day, it's the Sangeet. I was particularly excited about this one because obviously it's saying go ham. And my preferred style of Indian clothing is lehengas because it's like a top and a skirt. So this is when the very glitzy Depop find comes into play. I found this entire outfit for $50. This blouse, skirt, bag, scarf, $50 all in. I think that even included shipping. It was a little bit large. So as I mentioned before, Indian garments have a seam allowance. I just stitched that in a bit tighter for me, and it also has a bow at the back that I can kind of cinch it in a little bit. It does come in quite high under the arm, but I just couldn't be bothered completely pulling it apart and restitching it. But it's quite a full coverage garment. There's still a lot of glitz. I put this on Instagram recently because I was like, is it too pale for me? Does it wash me out? And I got a lot of compliments, so that was nice. So I'm really excited to wear that. I do think it's going to be quite hot. It's like a lot of synthetic fabric altogether. But let's see how I styled it. Day 3 morning. So this is the ceremony. It's about a 2-hour long event. There's lots of different components in it. As I said, the other Indian weddings I've been to are Sikh. So the ceremony, I'm guessing, is quite different. It's a different religion. I remember with the Sikh wedding, you needed to have something to cover your head with, but I don't think you need that with the Hindu ceremony. But I would still assume like I would want to be a bit more covered for the ceremony just out of respect, even if it's not as strict, I'm not sure. I was looking for all different options, and then I remembered I went to India when I was 18, 19, and I bought a hot pink sari when I was there. I didn't have a blouse for it, but it's beautiful. It's a little bit more formal, and also like I should give it a time to shine and not just let it kind of sit in my cupboard for another 10 years. This is she. It's got these lovely little gold embroidered flowers, and it's hot pink with a kind of darker gold edging along it. I retaught myself how to wear a sari, so hopefully on the day it won't fall apart. Got to make sure I remember to pack safety pins. I've packed some bike shorts that I can stick it into, but I recently thrifted, I think this was $10, a red linen skirt. I was about to buy a petticoat that often you'll wear a petticoat under the sari, wrap it around and tuck it in or pin it in. And then I was like, oh, I can just use this. This is actually perfect. And it'll double up as being able to just have a linen maxi skirt with me while I'm traveling. So that's good. The blouse was tricky for me for this one. This is the one thing I ended up buying new. I got a custom blouse. I think it was probably $35 or $40 from India. I got to choose the fabrics and my measurements. The sari itself is a little bit plain, so I thought I'd opt for a more elaborate embroidered fabric for the blouse to go with the pink. I thought these little kind of flowers would go with the kind of starburst patterns on here. If I'm honest, they're not a perfect match. I didn't necessarily expect them to be, but this is more of a really bright metallic gold, and this with the edging, it's more of a kind of antique-y gold, but it is fine. And I'm just gonna glam it up with some jewelry and she'll be right. Also, I do have some other friends that are going to this wedding and we spoke about kind of swapping outfits. So if someone has a blouse that suits better, I guess I could swap it out, but that's my current plan. I also just in the op shop found this for $2. Absolutely perfect. This was $2. The blouse was, let's say, $40, and the sari was free because I bought it in 2012. And I guess you will see in a moment what I ended up wearing. And then the last event of the 3-day affair is the reception. What ChatGPT has said about the reception is post-wedding party to celebrate the couple with speeches, dinner and dancing. Dress code is elegant and formal, gowns, embellished saris, suits or tuxedos. So this is the last event of the week. The bride and groom did give a dress code for all of the events. They said traditional attire encouraged, and they just mentioned the yellow for the Haldi. And then for the reception, they said traditional attire or Western, whatever you want. So I'm going to wear what I wore to the wedding last year. It was actually a Western dress. My Indian friend thought it was an Indian outfit, so it's kind of a combo of the two. This is also just my absolute favorite dress to wear. I'm going to a wedding this afternoon before we fly out to India, and I really wanted to wear this, but I wouldn't have time to wash it in between. But it's just like really flattering, really comfortable. Love this blue. And I got it off Depop for $40 or $60 a few years ago, and I've worn it to probably 6 weddings. So this dress, which kind of has the shape of an anarkali anyway, and then for that event last year, I turned a piece of sari fabric into a scarf. This was when I was in India when I was 19 and bought that pink sari. I also bought this kind of chartreuse, I guess you'd call it, sari, and I think it looks really nice with the bright blue. So I ended up just just cutting a piece of it off, putting the trim around the border, and I've got a spare dupatta. Now let's see how I styled it. So now I've just got to get this all in the suitcase. If you've made it this far and this video is actually online and in the world and included clips of me in these outfits in India, then I guess that was a success, that I managed to thrift all my outfits for 5 events at an Indian wedding. I think I'd set myself a budget of like $300 or $500. I'll put on screen how much everything totaled, but I think it would have been less than $300 from what I just ran through. So I call that a big success. I'm glad to have not just bought several kilos of new clothes that I'd only wear once or twice. If you've watched any of my videos before, you know that I love thrifting, and it was really so much fun to kind of have parameters and a bit of a challenge. It's kind of like when you're trying to thrift someone a gift or you have a specific list. I normally have an annual list of my thrift wish list to keep me directed, but it was quite fun to have a challenge like this. I would love if you have any ideas for me about how I could kind of build themes around what I'm thrifting for, maybe thrifting my summer capsule, or if there's anyone else out there that's from a non-Anglo culture that wants to invite me to their wedding and I can do lots of research and find interesting outfits, that'd be great. I'm really good with parents, so just message me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I looked good in all the outfits. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you next time.